My name is Cole Mathers. I'm 42, and I've been a plumber since I was 20. Not exactly glamorous, I know. I fix toilets, unclog drains, crawl under houses, and sweat through coveralls in July heat. It's not the kind of job that makes you famous, but it's honest work. I built a life with it, a mortgage, a family, a name people in this town could trust. Or so I thought. July 2nd, my birthday. The kind of day that used to mean pancakes in the morning and maybe a steak at night if my wife, Vanessa, was feeling generous. But this year was different. She said we were doing something low-key, a little gathering in the backyard, just close friends and family. That should have been the first red flag. Vanessa never did anything low-key. Her Instagram was practically a shrine to themed parties, curated cocktails, and perfect angles. But I brushed it off. I thought maybe, just maybe, she wanted to focus on me for once. I grilled burgers myself. She didn't even offer. Said she was busy setting up the patio. I didn't mind. I've always liked the smell of charcoal and sizzling beef. Felt grounding somehow. I wore my old Titans cap, the one she always said made me look like someone's uncle at a bowling alley. I wore it anyway. The yard filled up fast, her friends, mostly. A couple of neighbors. My buddy Troy came by with a six-pack and a smirk, probably sensing what I hadn't yet. Vanessa was in full hostess mode. Flowing summer dress, wine glass in hand, laughing like her life was a reality show. She barely looked at me. I stood by the grill, flipping patties and trying not to feel invisible. Then came the moment. The one I'll never forget, not if I live to be 100. My daughter, Emma, 15 going on 30, was sitting at the patio table with 3 of her friends. I heard giggling, some TikTok video playing, and then her voice, loud and sharp. "You're a nobody." Everything stopped. Conversations dimmed. I turned my head slowly, like maybe I misheard. But she was looking straight at me. My own daughter. My blood. "You fix toilets. You think that makes you a man?" I blinked. My hands were still holding the spatula and tongs like weapons I'd forgotten how to use. Mom's new boyfriend owns 3 restaurants. Her friends gasped, then laughed. The kind of laugh that makes your stomach twist, because it's not about something funny, it's about power. Then I heard it. Vanessa. She didn't jump in to defend me. Didn't scold Emma. No. She laughed. This low, fake laugh I'd never heard before. "Well," she said, still smiling, sipping her wine like we were on some talk show, "it's time you knew the truth. You were always just temporary." That was the kill shot, and everyone heard it. It felt like the world slowed down. The summer heat pressed into my skin. I heard the birds in the trees, the buzz of a fly near the grill, the soft clink of a beer bottle hitting the table. Everything but my heart, which felt like it had stopped. I didn't say a word, didn't curse, didn't shout, didn't demand an explanation. I just wiped my hands on the apron, walked inside the house, and grabbed my old duffel bag from the closet. Threw in a couple changes of clothes, my toothbrush, my wallet, and my work boots. When I walked back through the living room, someone called out, "Hey, where you going, Cole?" I didn't answer. I walked past the patio, past the blinking string lights and the Chardonnay crowd, and straight to my truck. 30 minutes later, I was parked outside a Shell station on the edge of town, trying to breathe. Then my phone lit up. 29 missed calls. Vanessa, Emma, even one from Troy. But I didn't pick up. Because if I did, I knew I'd explode. I just sat there, staring at the wheel, hands trembling. I wasn't crying. Not really. But there was something in my throat, heavy and tight. Something that didn't move. What do you do when your wife, the woman you built a life with, laughs while your daughter calls you worthless? What do you do when the people you've worked your whole damn life to protect look at you like you're a stain? I'll tell you what I did. I drove to the edge of a cornfield outside Hartsdale, the one near the old red barn we used to take fall pictures by. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. I turned the engine off and just sat in silence. And I thought about how I met Vanessa, about the night Emma was born, about all the years I spent working double shifts, coming home with aching knees and a sore back, just so she could pursue her dreams of interior design, which, by the way, turned into overpriced lamps and Instagram filters. I thought about the way Emma used to run into my arms when I came home, how she once told her whole second-grade class that her daddy was a superhero because he fixed stuff nobody else could. And now I was just a plumber, a nobody. I sat there until the sun disappeared and the sky turned deep blue. I didn't move, because once you realize you've been living in a lie, You don't rush out of it. You sit in the wreckage for a while. You let it sting. My phone buzzed again. A message. From Vanessa. Where the hell are you? Emma's crying. I stared at it. Then I turned the phone off. Because now they wanted me to care. Now that I wasn't standing in the backyard, spatula in hand, taking their punches with a smile. Now that the man they mocked was suddenly gone. Let them feel it. Let them sit in the silence I used to fill. Because I may be a plumber. I may fix toilets. But I sure as hell won't live in one. I didn't sleep that night. I parked behind an old shuttered diner off Route 19, reclined the seat, and just stared at the ceiling of my truck. There was a tear in the upholstery above my head, one I'd been meaning to fix for years. Funny how something so small can suddenly feel symbolic. The air inside smelled like tools, motor oil, and pine air freshener. My world in a cab. All I had left. At some point, probably around 4 a.m., I whispered something out loud just to hear a voice. Temporary. It echoed like a curse. Like the word had hands and had slapped me across the mouth again. I laughed. Bitter, broken, empty. How long had she been waiting to say that? How long had I been sleeping next to someone rehearsing their exit speech while I was busy fixing leaky sinks and making sure the light bill was paid? I turned the phone back on around 6. Still dead quiet outside, like the world hadn't woken up yet. 35 missed calls now. Mostly Vanessa. A few from Emma. One voicemail caught my eye. It was from Troy. Hey man, I don't know what happened out there, but listen, if you need a place, my couch is open. Don't do anything crazy, all right? Call me. Bless him. Always the first to speak up when the room goes cold. I pulled into Troy's driveway by 7:30. He was standing on the porch in pajama pants and a faded Lynyrd Skynyrd shirt, sipping coffee. When he saw my truck, he just nodded and walked inside like he already knew the answer. Didn't ask. Didn't pry. Just handed me a mug and pointed to the couch. That first morning, I didn't say much. Neither did he. We sat watching the news in silence. Two men pretending we weren't dying inside. After a while, he said, "You ready to talk?" I shook my head. Not yet. He didn't push. 3 days passed like that. Me waking up on that worn leather couch, pretending I was just crashing for a few nights instead of watching my life burn from the outside. Then, on the 4th morning, my phone buzzed again. It was Emma. Dad, please, can we talk? I didn't mean it. I was mad. I'm sorry. I stared at the message. Read it again. Then again. But I didn't reply. Because sorry doesn't unring a bell. And that bell, her voice calling me a nobody, was still echoing inside my skull every time I tried to breathe. Later that day, I drove back to the house. Just once. Not to make peace. Just to collect my tools. My work gear. The last of what I hadn't already taken when I left. I parked out front. Vanessa was in the driveway, pacing with her phone in her hand like she'd been waiting for me. When she saw me, she put on that smile, the one I'd seen her use with clients, fake as plastic. "Cole," she said, like I was a barista who'd gotten her order wrong. I walked right past her. Didn't even make eye contact. Inside the garage, my stuff was exactly where I left it. Still smelled like dust and motor grease. I loaded my gear into the truck, toolbox, wrenches, pipe threader, a pair of steel-toe boots I hadn't worn since winter. She stood in the doorway, arms folded. "You really just gonna leave? Not even talk to me?" I slammed the tailgate. "We talked. You said it all. In front of half the neighborhood." "That wasn't," she paused. "That wasn't the way I meant it." I turned to her, slow. My voice was calm. Too calm. "You said I was temporary. Like I was some summer job." She shook her head. "I was just angry. You embarrassed me in front of my friends." "I embarrassed you?" I laughed, humorless. "I flipped burgers on my own birthday while you and your daughter, our daughter, dragged me through the dirt in front of God and everybody." She blinked like that part hadn't registered. Like she didn't see the problem until it was under a spotlight. "I was trying to impress them," she muttered. "You don't understand what it's like." "No." I cut in. "You don't. You never have. You live in a world where money and image are everything. But I was the one unclogging drains at midnight, so your damn vision board could come true." She stepped closer. "Look, Cole, we can fix this. Emma feels terrible. She's young. She said something stupid. She said what you've been thinking for years. That shut her up. I'm not mad anymore," I added. "I'm not even hurt. I'm just done." I got in the truck. She tried to open the door before I could close it. "Please, just let's talk about it tonight." I looked at her hand on the doorframe. Manicured fingers. Gold ring glinting. I didn't say anything. I just slowly pulled the door shut. That night, Emma texted again. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to look cool. I'm so sorry, Dad. Please don't hate me. Hate her? No. But I was learning something about hurt. That when it comes from the people you'd take a bullet for, it cuts a whole different way. That weekend, I started looking at apartments. Cheap ones. Small. Not much more than a roof and a bed. But they were mine. No eggshells to walk on. No fake apologies. No being the butt of some twisted inside joke. I signed a 6-month lease on a studio above an old bakery downtown. The smell of bread at 5 a.m. was oddly comforting. Made me feel like life still had routines worth waking up for. Emma stopped by a week later. Alone. She stood at my door with red-rimmed eyes and a Target bag full of stuff. A mug that said #OneDad in cringy Comic Sans font, a card, and a pack of beef jerky. My favorite. I know I screwed up, she said, voice trembling. But I don't know. I was angry. I didn't mean any of it. I let her inside. Sat on the only chair I owned while she perched on the edge of the bed. You hurt me, I said plainly. More than you know. She nodded. I know. I got so used to hearing Mom talk down to you that I thought it was normal. I looked at her. And what do you think now? She sniffled. I think Mom was wrong. We didn't hug. Not at first. But when she stood up to leave, she wrapped her arms around me so tight it hurt. I'm sorry, Dad. I don't want to be like her. That was the first moment I let myself cry. Quietly. After she left. Not because she apologized. But because she saw me again. Because I wasn't invisible anymore. And you know what? Maybe I'll always be a plumber. Maybe I'll never own 3 restaurants or host wine tastings or be the guy people whisper about in country clubs. But I'm not temporary. I'm not forgettable. I'm the man who stayed when it was hard and walked away when it became impossible. And I'd rather be a nobody with peace than a somebody living in someone else's lie. They call me a joke. But now I'm the punchline that got away. And they're the ones stuck with the silence.